Ato ang takna karon 5 minutos ng milabay sa alas 10 sa Kabundagon, September 23. The year is 2025. Is it 2025 today? Or the last few days? Is it,
I think it's been 2025 for a while.
for the past 9 months?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. So how are you doing, Ralph?
I'm doing all right. Jiggy, how about you?
Kumbati. Pahit sa gyapon.
Bites lang.
Pahit sa gyapon. Post indignation rally, post increase of diesel fuel by 80 centavos and 1 peso regular fuel.
Mm-mm.
So, kumbati lang gyapon.
Laban lang jud.
Laban lang yun. Anyway, I actually posted a question online, which actually is a sort of like a teaser of our topic tomorrow. Is Cebu City boring? Mo na ipangutana nga gatangag og dakong ganti. Is Cebu City boring? Because my daughter seems to think that it's boring. And a lot of my friends think it's boring. Cebu City. I'm talking about Cebu City, not the entire island of Cebu, but just Cebu City is boring because there's nothing to do. In fact, I asked ChatGPT, what are the top 10 places to go in Cebu City? And it only reached to like until 4th, and then everything else was not in Cebu City anymore.
Oh no, even ChatGPT thinks we're boring.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask that question to our listeners, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And maybe you, Ralph, will also prepare maybe like reasons why it is not or it is boring. Naghisgot ka ganiha. Let's just talk about this from the top. Kaning naghisgot ka ganiha. Boring ni siya kung wala kay kwarta.
Oh.
So may sulti nimo. So nganong boring man kung wa kay kwarta?
Kay ang kasagari man na pwede nimo buhaton dire sa Cebu kay it's going to cost you a little bit of money.
Really? Pananglita no, pag ari nimo dire sa Tops, 100 pesos ra gud agod. 100 pesos ra pag sold sa Tops nya human kung na kay sakyanan, of course. Bayad na kag parking kung wa kay sakyanan mo sakay kag bus, di ba? So dili gyud kay mahal, 200 pesos ra siguro. Max, di ba? That's not too expensive, right?
Siguro, depende siguro if just how much ang imong gi-earn. Pero I guess for some nga who are living paycheck to paycheck, that might be too much.
Yeah, but I think that's number one. That's probably relative, right? But 200 pesos is 200 pesos. So
yeah.
I think the problem is so where do you go after that, right? So murabag kung if you live here long enough, murag mahutdan ka og adtuan. Right?
No, yeah,
right? Especially if you live here, right? I mean, like every weekend, I ask my daughter, "Where do you want to eat? Like, where should you eat?" And then, pag human, like the answers are like, we just go to the same restaurant over and over again because there's nothing new. And of course, there's always something new. Na mga moabling mga bag-o, right?
Yeah.
But we don't want to go until like we've heard of anything good about that place. And it's interesting and all of that stuff. So usually, we because we want to make sure that when we eat, we're satisfied with it, right? And usually we just go to the same place. Pero although it's true, nga daghan kay mga bag-o nga mga kananan diri sa Cebu, right? All the time, di ba?
Every now and then, yeah.
Every now and then. But sometimes, mura na sila ka ng Instagrammable bitaw niya. Dili siya itable bitaw.
Oh no.
Naiuban ang giabli lang para nindot tan-awon pero dili nindot kanon. Which is a kind of peculiar way of opening a business, right? But since social media is where it's at now, so you make a restaurant or a place, a cafe that's Instagrammable that people like to take photographs. Para people will get intrigued.
Yeah.
Never mind the food. Never mind the service, right? Just make it Instagrammable.
Kanang food and service to be improved.
Yeah, to be improved. That's funny. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But today, we have a very interesting conversation that we're about to have. In fact, they're here live in the studios of 105.1 TMC, top of the morning. Presents. We have, of course, our friends from Gubat Banwa. Please introduce yourselves, guys. Go ahead, please.
Oh, hi.
Maing buntang ni mo diya.
You want to go first?
Go ahead. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Dylan Briones. I'm the project lead developer of Gubat Banwa.
And I'm Faye. I am the creative director of Sordile Studios that is making Gubat Banwa.
Sige, ang unang I just pressed the wrong button. What is this? What is going on here? I sound like Megatron.
Oh no.
Is that supposed to be?
It's a megaphone.
Ah.
Sorry.
That
So
sounded
kaning Gubat Banwa, what is Gubat Banwa? Explain to our listeners what it is.
Should I do the long spiel? Or?
Yeah.
Do the long spiel, man. We have all day.
It's a mouthful. So
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
okay. Gubat Banwa is a Southeast Asian fantasy, martial arts, tactical war drama, tabletop RPG.
That's also award winning.
That's also award-winning.
Icebreaker 23. Yeah. Ooh, that's it.
And katong award that you guys won back then. Can you like tell us a bit about that?
Oh, we won best setting.
The Dicebreaker, which is an award overseas, the US.
Yeah.
Mm.
We submitted it before. That was, I mean, until now, Gubat Banwa is still a work in progress. So I guess the only award that they could give us is best setting because of the lore stuff. But
Mm.
yeah, we've won an award overseas. We've kickstarted our game in October 2023. It got funded in 18 hours, and in about like 24 hours, we got 100K USD.
80.
Whoa.
80.
And then the
Just
rest
the
was
link.
like the late backer
Oh yeah,
stuff.
the late backer stuff.
Mm-mm.
So
And-
yeah.
And ang kanang dice breaker, what is that awarding body anyway? What's it for?
It's for indie.
Yeah,
Tabletop.
independent TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games.
Okay, so that is in a nutshell what Gubat Banwa is, right?
Mhm.
So why build or why create Gubat Banwa? What's the big idea? I mean, why do it in the first place?
Well, the main thrust of Gubat Banwa and why what brought all of us together was we, for the most part, wanted to create a space in fantasy on our own terms, right? In fantasy fiction, in the genre, we wanted to redefine.
You wanted to make fantasy in your own terms.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't fantasy in the person's creation's terms all the
Well,
time?
in the genre sense, like fantasy at large.
Okay.
You have stuff like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones.
Mm.
Yeah,
Think-
Western fantasy in general is
Mm.
very like predominant in media like these days.
Yeah.
Okay. So Western fantasy you mentioned, and then this is like a kind of local fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can point out to us the different aspects that make a fantasy Western. What makes for a Western fantasy, and what makes local fantasy distinct?
For one, for in terms of like Western fantasy, like they usually get their inspiration from Western cultures. Kay,
Exactly. So unsa man na? For
The
pananglitan.
biggest-
Pananglitan.
the biggest, I guess, like Western fantasy that everyone probably knows is like kay Tolkien, which
Yeah.
is Lord
So
of the Rings.
yeah, I know. We know all those, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about the specific features of Western or imported fantasy that's distinct from local fantasies.
I guess it's like certain quote unquote creatures ba like nga elves, nga dwarves that we don't really have that for local fantasy. And the thing about like local fantasy like that, and also the armor, the way that it looks like, if you've seen how like sa mga night movies or like in general ba, like their armor looks very different. Like if you wear that kind of like metal plate armor here in the Philippines, you will be cooked alive.
Mm.
'Cause,
So
Yeah.
is the difference between Western and local fantasies just cosmetic? Because it sounds like you're just
it's-
describing
that's just
the
the
armor.
surface.
So I know. So I want to let's go deep. Like, what is the main difference of local and Western fantasy?
definitely cultural inspirations because bringing back to Tolkien again, it's from like mga English and Welsh
Yeah.
cultures, the mythologies, their folklore.
So what are the characteristics of, let's just say, English or that kind of fantasy culture? What is that?
Like-
How different is that from local culture?
Kay, like culturally, because sa Visayas, local, or like I guess in terms of like,
Philippines,
the scope
Philippines,
of our game,
yeah.
Southeast Asian fantasy from the
Mm.
lens of the Philippines, we get to have that specific lens of like being the unsa ni, a hotpot of like mga Indianized cultures, but at the same time mga our roots from the Austronesian. They're also the what do you call that, ng mga Islamic na roots as well as like certain folklore that you can only specifically hear from around Southeast Asia, like say
Dato Sumanga and the
mm,
the Humadap nun in Panay and
yeah, like
things of that nature.
the way that we construct our epics here around Southeast Asia, the stuff that we have in common, is like the format of it is very different from how they usually would tell stories sa
How
West.
is it different?
Kay it's meant for more like, granted that all cultures naman have like um oral storytelling,
Mm.
but for example sa which part of Visayas is that they start an epic with like a bujong ba, bujong, or what is it?
The sound of a musical instrument, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was common. Like I think Alcina mentioned that, like in the Historias. But I guess also to add, I mean, a little segue. I suppose the like to get back to your original question of why we did Gubat Banwa and to bring that like to the general is that a lot of these Western fantasy tropes, like especially us, it's like it's considered almost default now when you're writing fantasy as a genre fiction.
That's why.
like,
That's why. So
like
I want to know what the differences are.
right? I mean, like there there's your modern, like there's a lot of categorizations, right? You got your high fantasy, your low fantasy, and then they have like certain like things
Certain defaults.
yeah, certain
That
defaults.
Southeast Asian.
Have you acquiesced
fantasy.
with the default of the Western fantasy?
That's the thing, I guess, about Southeast Asian fantasy. There are just some things that you can't define by using the shorthand of Western fantasy. For
Yeah.
example, like a knight. You can't describe a raider as just, or like rather a pirate. You can't just describe like a Visayan raider as just a pirate, because it's just more than that. The definition of terms of like what a pirate is like, ano eh,
Peg leg, parrot.
yeah,
Greed,
the idea like
scurvy.
what,
As portrayed in movies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
that's what comes into mind. But once we bring up the topic of mga ngayaw, old Binasaya, for to raid or to layag, and you might never come back,
Yeah.
it challenges like people who would play the game, or like people who would want to imagine a fantasy na centered ba ang Southeast Asia or like Visayas, to think about, oh, what would the mga ngayaw, specifically a Visayan raider na in a fantasy, look like? So you don't default to the peg leg parrot,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's and I've used this like analogy before. You wouldn't call a samurai a knight, right? Despite the fact that more or less that's like people would assume like that would be their equivalent. But there's a
Yeah.
world of a difference, right? But why do they
Specificities.
get to be samurai and not be called knights and so on, right? It's about like what do we call that? Cultural power, cultural persistence to become
like the power of using language as well to attach mga notions ba to it, to attach ideas, and to encourage people to think beyond what they usually know, to seek out knowledge.
You know, I guess my question is, if I had to rephrase it, is this: when it comes to narrative or story building, is it there's a great injustice, and then hero comes in to save the day, and then everybody lives happily ever after, right? I guess that's what I'm talking about when I said, what is the difference between Western and local storytelling? Are they all identical, or is there like a different way that locals tell stories?
I wouldn't
you want to take this one?
we
Or?
can, we can collaborate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, because like who's the guy? Is he Campbell? Who says
Right,
that
yeah.
it's all the same, but
Yeah.
that's not real.
So what are the differences then?
In terms of like
Narrative building.
narrative building, what I've noticed around like Asia is there's like the way that we interface with nature, and the way that we interface with gods. We have, okay, to cut it short, we have less stories about hubris.
Yeah.
actually. Less stories about hubris.
Hubris. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Kay, unsan eh, if you've heard about the stories of like mga Greek gods of them getting punished for being the best, ano yun,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
si Circe
Yeah.
or like si Arachne,
Mm.
like you get punished for like being more talented, more beautiful, or even like
More good looking.
yeah, yeah, so that type of stuff.
I mean, there are examples, but I guess that's not like the central
Yeah,
like
that's
theme.
not the central.
There's a I
Mm.
would also say there's a focus on like community
Yeah,
and connections to these communities,
connections to community,
relational stuff.
connections to nature, and so yeah, generally it's more so of that in terms of theme, less so of like mga cautionary tale. I would say there are some, but that came much later. I would say,
Yeah, like
and not something that we also share with our other Southeast Asian neighbors. Not as much, at least.
So you mentioned earlier during our conversations a few nights ago about how you want people to be aware of what's out there in our own backyard, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tell us about that.
Well, okay, I would start with the title, right? That's always a good starting point. You say Gubat Banwa, right? Like in convention, I mean online when we put it out the first time, there were people like around the Philippines going like, "Why did you name your game Jungle Town?" Right? That was always the joke. And I'd go like, "Well, for one, there's more than one Philippine language, and in my native tongue, Gubat means war, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first bit, the Gubat part. The Banwa part, that's an older Austronesian word. Like, I think they still we chose Banwa because like the Gubat is the specific, right? Like it mostly means war, but the Banwa part, like it's a common word in a lot of languages in the Philippines
And Southeast Asia.
and Southeast Asia, and even in Austronesia. Like if you go
If
to
you
the
follow the route.
yeah, if you look at an island in the Pacific that's called Vanuatu, it means the same. Like Banwa basically means settlement or like realm or like polity.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think in Waray Banwa means like a plot of grass. In Ilonggo Banwa means like settlement still.
Yeah.
And in I believe it was in Kapampangan where it means sky,
Yeah.
more temporal. So it's also
Ano,
that.
it's Pangasinan.
Pangasinense, it's
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it translates to battle realms basically, but you know, we like that in the very beginning. You're already having a conversation, right, about language and diversity. It's already a statement about celebrating Philippine diversity, like in the title. On surface, anyway, like there's a lot more. I know we've had time to ruminate on this as well, like, it's the whole thing where we didn't want to be historical, right? Because it's a fantasy thing, but like we can't deny that history is part of who we are, right?
Yeah.
And reading your own history and ruminating on that, it isn't always the best experience, right? Like we always had this thing, you can't interface with something like heritage without pain, right? You're gonna come across some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But it's in the acceptance of that, I suppose. But yeah, that's a bit of a longer tangent. But yeah.
So, all of the historical, I guess, relevance to Gubat Banwa is just merely inspirational.
Yeah. We don't mean to be,
So it's not historical, yeah. It's not but it's based on
yeah.
actual
Yeah.
facts, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the balance that we have to
Because there are games, especially war games, that are accurate,
Yeah.
like 100% accurate, right? At least
Yeah,
based on the history
historical
books,
war
right?
games.
So is this one of those, or
Nope.
no?
Like no, we're really trying to do it like fantasy good. Now
Mm.
there are some inspirations from history, but it's not one to one because of like many factors. The first among them is due diligence, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's our like I would say that's our one of our guiding values in
What's the
the
most
team.
exciting part about Filipino culture that you used in the game that blew you away? Like, oh man, I didn't know this. Holy,
It's hard.
holy
The-
guacamole!
The bibliography of this book is gonna be nuts.
That's
if
gonna
we
be
have,
a book of its own.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot,
It's
but
so hard.
to sum it up,
Yeah.
like there is so much. If you see it, like, if you see it as just this diverse mix of these interactions, these many peoples, and the conflicts that happen
The
between
conflicts, but also the intersections in culture, what we
Yeah.
share, what we fight over, and what we all have in common.
them. Yeah, which is a lot more than we think, because like I believe, like, I mean, this is, I mean, we're going there already, but like I believe a lot of Philippine based fiction and fantasy, they tend to be very isolating in a sense. Like, it's hardly ever a thing that you get Philippines in the context of Southeast Asia,
Mm.
right? Or like Philippines in the context of many cultures in a,
With a regional lens.
yeah, with a regional
But
lens.
isn't that everybody? Like, isn't that the world? Aren't we all like all a hodgepodge of everything? Of a lot of places, you know, like it's not just Asian, you know. I mean, like, isn't that the whole world?
I suppose so, but if you narrow the scope, right? Because these are, you don't normally, like, of course, this is a globalization is a thing, like, you know, we're an
Mhm.
interconnected world now, but like if you narrow the scope,
We've always been interconnected, even before this whole globalization thing, right?
yeah. I guess it's the whole, those connections aren't really in people's minds most of the time,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't really think about,
Yeah, because you know we're busy, especially in the third world,
Yeah.
figuring out
How to survive.
how to survive. Right?
of course. But like there are these, I noticed, like when I was growing up, I didn't really learn much about Malaysia and Indonesia, like,
Mm.
and Vietnam, right? Like, isn't that weird? Like,
Even if we're really close to
yeah,
them.
and then there's a lot of stuff that we do share with them, like words in some of our languages. I
Mhm.
mean, payong is still payong in
And mata
Jakarta.
is
Could it be
mata.
because of the dominance of Western media here in the Philippines? We're called before by somebody of the brown. Little brown Americans, right?
I mean-
And look at the way we speak, right? We
Mm.
speak with a full English accent, American accent,
Mm.
right?
American accent.
Yeah.
So is that, could it be we're insulated from our neighbors in Asia because we're attached to the hip to American or Western media? Is that
I
to
mean,
blame?
if you want, I blame, I suppose, but like I choose to see it like in the historical context, right? I mean, the European nations divvied up Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah.
We rolled the dice. We got the Spanish, and then
We
later the
roll the
Americans.
dice, isn't it? Allusion to your game. okay.
Indonesia got the Dutch, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And there was an interconnectivity way before all of that, right? Like you mentioned.
Yeah,
but
the trade and several.
yeah, but when the European powers like carved Southeast Asia, I believe like it was to their interests that we don't really,
yeah, that we're insulated from each other.
you know, that
divide and conquer.
in that sense
Mhm.
as well. Like I'm not a disclaimer. I'm not a historian. I'm just like
Neither am I. I'm just
We're
I'm
not
just
either.
asking
Studied a lot of
idiotic
things.
historical questions.
we just read a lot of
we
things.
just studied a lot of
Mm.
things.
But I suppose like if I don't think this is a really hot take, but like
Mm.
if you're the United States in its Manifest Destiny era when you just got this new colony called the Philippines, I think it would be beneficial on their end if we didn't speak too much with our neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, considering Vietnam pa lang.
Yeah, considering those things, but when these anti-colonial movements, so I
Yeah.
think there was a push for like your national Philippines, and then which is very tied into like, you know, they sent teachers here, and then
Yeah.
that's why America seemingly feels closer to us than, let's say, Kota Kinabalu or like
Bugis.
Bugis
Makassar.
or Makassar.
We were supposed to be another state in the United States, right? There was like
Yeah.
a
they tried.
There was a push for it.
Yeah. So I suppose it's that, but because we, like you said, like a lot of those connections are coming back because we have the internet, right? And then there we have access to like better means of communication, so we can like reconnect in that sense. Like, because it's also like I'm gonna say it's also kind of really hard to do cross-regional things, right? Like I would say, for example, like Bicol is the Bicol region of Luzon is a very rich culture and a history, right? But how much is it to go from Cebu to Naga, right? Like,
There is a flight, but it's very rare and it's like 50.
Okay,
Yeah.
to our listeners who are from Cebu, they're not referring to Naga
Oh.
City, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Naga
They're-
City,
Naga Bicol.
Bicol.
Naga
Camarines
Bicol, right? Okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure.
Both have rich histories too, but like I wanted to like
It's like 45 minutes from here to Naga.
yeah, it is. But like it's inter-island travel is. I mean, if you're going from Visayas to Mindanao, it's a bit easier, right? Like my mom used to do that. But like the point I was trying to make is like we're also kind of isolated from each other in a sense.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Regionally,
yeah,
like-
yeah, yeah.
Like a lot of
Bodies of water.
we don't know much about each other,
Mm.
right? Like
We don't know enough.
yeah, we don't know
about
enough.
each other.
Yeah, when we have a very interesting community. Like we a community of peoples and islands, right? We have
I'm
all
curious
these-
about where our
languages.
colonizers, which includes the Spaniards, the Americans, and the Japanese, and the others. Were they thorough? Did they like go through all of the islands, or did they have like a favorite island? They're like, I like this Cebu place. I like this Luzon place. Were they like especially enthralled by a specific bunch of islands, or they really did shop around and hop to the entire 7,107
I
islands of
think
the
it's less
Philippines?
so of a favored island, but from all the stuff we've read, it's more so of what's the best in terms of strategy
What's the most
for them to
convenient?
take. Yeah,
Yeah, what's the most
Yeah.
convenient?
because like
The end goal being strategy for what end goal?
to like exploit that place.
Yeah, to enrich
and-
themselves.
Yeah, enrich themselves
Okay.
essentially.
Okay.
Because like that's how it was. I've studied a lot of Laguna's history, and because that area is like mostly plains framed by mountains, and then there's just lakes, and they're kind of away from the sea.
Mm.
It makes it so that like the rebels from there, for example, in during the time of the Japanese, because they don't really have anywhere to run because the mountains are quite far away, and the lake is, you can't hide in the lake, you can't sail away to another place in a lake, you'll just end up on the other side of it's still Laguna, and there's still the Japanese soldiers there waiting for you. So it's more so of like strategic choices on their end. That's why a lot of like Southern Tagalog is actually like that, because of like how much easier it is for them to
Just
like,
the material and the physical like
yeah.
use in a sense.
And comparing the histories of that to like say the Cordilleras, where it's so high up,
Mm.
and they're not as conditioned to like know, and they can't really send a scout in the mountains. That guy is gonna come back as a skull.
Yeah,
You
or in Sulu where they're so connected with Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
They're
So
part of
all of
Brunei.
these conversations that we're having this morning, you can have while playing your game.
I mean,
Is that the objective or what?
Okay,
What do you want to happen, man? When I'm playing the game, does it mean that I can have conversations about this?
one of the best things ever, like for me, one of the most like fulfilling things to me is like when I talk about the game and then that's inspired by this history, it's not meant to represent it. And then the best thing, at least here in Cebu, was people going like na day tayo na day na, like that's so like hearing that and seeing them like light up, like that's one of the things that like keep me very invested in this project, right? Like it's this self like discovery and being actually like, oh wow, we have this,
Yeah.
right? We have something like this, like
I would say it's like, even if it's not quote unquote historically accurate, well not quote unquote, erase that, it's you're still allowed to see yourself represented in it, in the same way na, like some people think that like they see, what's an example of an international movie like Trece, and they see themselves representative in whatever.
I mean, a Filipino will see another Filipino on the screen.
yeah, and
and
be
go,
like, hey,
"Yeah."
and even if that's not historically accurate,
Mm.
yung mga Philippines mentioned na
Yeah.
Twitter,
Mm.
whatever,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I guess that's what's important to us, and to bring that to a regional level, to bring that to like, what's one of the stories na, sa TTF ba yun?
Oh, okay. I'll take that one. So we did this event, right? Tabletop Fiesta back in 2023, It was in Central Block, and then we were running the games, and then there was this guy who was listening, who was in another game in a different table. He heard our game being run. He got kind of curious, and then he went over, and then he asked a few questions about, hey, what's that? And so on and so forth, right? And he comes back the next day. He has a pudong on, and he has like this sablay. I'm not sure of the specific term, but it turns out he's yakan.
Yakan Tausog.
He's yakan tausog.
Nobility.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he's basically a prince, son of a datu in a sense. Then he was like, yeah, let's go. Like, it made him feel compelled to like show up in his culture, even though it wasn't like historically.
Yeah.
Like,
The
Ah.
game that that you guys created, Gubat Banwa, is it a fantasy game inspired by the pre-colonial, or is it more post-colonial?
It's everything.
yeah,
actually.
it's a mix of
It's everything but contemporary.
it's everything but contemporary. I
Okay.
mean,
Because it is fantasy.
yeah, it is
So
fantasy.
would it be like 50-50 pre and post, or is it like more inclined to pre-colonial?
And during.
yeah,
and
we
a
have
little bit of both.
yeah, we have a like because we have like 5 factions there, right? And a lot of them like represent like wouldn't really represent, but are inspired by like certain time periods and peoples and currents.
Hey,
and-
there's a perception, Manggud, nga our colonizers burned down everything, right?
yeah.
Like the Library of Alexandria, they just burned down everything, all of our culture, all of our pagan beliefs, and all of that stuff, because they wanted to impose their will on us, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to ask that question, because there's so little that we know about our pre-colonial past, or is that a misconception? Is that a myth?
I mean,
That's not a myth. We do know little, like at large.
yeah.
But there are definitely efforts to, rectify that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more resources that are accessible now,
Yeah.
right? Through the internet, of course.
I'm curious, by if you can recommend to us a place to go or a book to read to learn more about our pre-colonial past. Can you recommend?
For specifically Cebu, you can follow Palmgrass Heritage Hotel
Yeah,
for
they do.
Facebook. Shout out from a
Palm Grass. What is that? Is that a hotel?
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
a hotel, but
What
they
i-
actually
wha-
have
what?
mga webinars.
Yeah.
They have mga
They-
webinars about like local
What if
Cebu
I go to the
culture.
hotel? What does that mean? Does that mean anything? No.
Oh, they actually have mga books for sale about
Oh,
Cebu
where
history.
where is this? Where is this Palm?
Kulon.
It's in Junquera.
Oy, favorito na ng lugar ni Juan. He used to go there. He used to hang out a lot there, right, Ralph?
USC Main, right? No, it's ahead of USC Main on Junquera side.
Weren't you
What
like
were you doing
weren't you
in
like a
Junquera?
pimp before?
Bro, no.
No?
No.
Isn't that how you paid your way through college? No.
No.
Okay.
It's a very interesting racket, Ralph.
That's a secret.
Wrong person. Sorry. So nasa Honquera dapit, there's a place called
Palmgrass Hotel.
Palmgrass Hotel,
Yeah.
and
They have webinars, seminars, and a bookstore.
Yeah.
why is that? I mean, like, I'm curious. What's the story of Palm?
I mean, you should
Palmgrass?
have you should have them here.
Yeah, that's not our story to tell because Ma'am A has a long history. Like,
Yeah.
the land there was their young ancestors, no?
Oh my God.
No, I
okay.
mean she's literally like the descendant of a Katipunero.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they
of
have
Oh
a
my God.
museum in there.
Yeah, they have a museum.
Oh.
They have like
Goodbye.
yeah, it's just there.
Oh my God. Let's go there tomorrow, man. Let's bring our cameras and hunt her down, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
See, Cebu City isn't boring.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You just gotta know where to look.
So maybe we
true.
should add one more, right? It was just Chat GPT,
Yeah.
suffering from a lack of imagination, right?
Definitely.
So that's the game at Gubat Banwa, and we're gonna talk about the event that you guys are organizing later on. But I'd like to bring in the other half of this equation, which is the
Balay Kasamtangan.
Balay
Balay
Kasamtangan.
Kasamtangan.
Let's bring in our friends from Balay Kasamtangan before we talk to get you guys together. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, our friends from Gubat Banwa. If they want to know more about Gubat Banwa, the game, where should they go? Tell everybody about, because we're going to separate these two different content. Go ahead.
http://link.tree. Is that the
Yeah,
right
link
format?
tree.
/play Gubat Banwa. All of our links are there, but just search for play Gubat Banwa.
Yeah, and then that has all our pages. It has our itch page. It has the store where you can buy the
Quick start,
quick start of
our
the game.
Facebook, our Twitter.
Okay, pasabta ko na ato mga kaigsunon. Unsa man ang quick start? Kind of quick starter kit. Explain to them what that is.
Yeah.
Quick start is like a vertical slice of what our game is. So it's like, how do I tell this?
It's like a starter kit.
Like a
Yeah,
teaser?
a starter kit.
But can you actually play with it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
a starter kit. Yeah, it has the rules that you need to start playing Gubat Banwa.
Okay.
But it does not have the
The-
in-depth stuff pa.
So how do I get the in-depth stuff? It's not yet available?
That's the book that we're working on right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
That's the
when
work in
when is that going to be released?
Next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Wow. So are you guys how many people are working on this Gubat Banwa book? I'm curious.
6 people.
Yeah, 6 people.
All across the Philippines. Tulo ka sa Luzon.
Okay.
And there's 2 of us here. And si Rhyme nagikan sa Mindanao.
Okay, who's the main protagonist of who's the hero of Gubat Banwa?
The hero of Gubat Banwa is called Kadungganan. And that's anyone.
Kadungganan.
Yes.
What-
Kadunggan. From Kadungan.
From
Honor.
ears or honor?
From
Okay.
Honor.
Okay.
Yeah. So the protagonist, I would say, of Gubat Banwa is the ones who play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kadungganan.
Okay.
The players. Yeah.
So
the player
it's centered
characters.
around the experiences of the Kadungganan, and you get to tell your own epic,
Mm.
basically.
Interesting. I'm excited to play Gubat Banwa. Go and check them out.
Namatuwa ka, sir.
Mogduwa ta.
Sige.
Can you repeat that one more time if you don't mind? Where they can find the starter kit version of Gubat Banwa, soon to be a book. Hopefully next year we're gonna be here to cover it live.
Well,
Okay, for the release of this particular book, right? Go ahead.
that's Linktree /
Link
Play
tree.
Gubat Banwa. Play Gubat Banwa. Or you could just Google and search for Play Gubat Banwa.
Mm.
We're also on Facebook.
Okay,
as the
so
Gubat
this is
Banwa.
this is a digital only game. There's no like
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
gonna have a
tabletop
book.
game.
Oh, it's
Yet.
gonna be it is a tabletop game. The case man for tabletop games is you usually need PDFs or
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
But we have to promote digitally.
Okay,
So
For the time being.
yeah.
but you'll have like the
Yeah,
the-
we'll have physical
the
stuff.
hard physical stuff very
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give it up one more time for our friends from Gubat Banwa. And you'll have a chance to meet these two and have conversations with them over tuba or whatever who your poison is later on in Atua, right? Atua, Midtown Atua.
Yes.
Sakto ba ko? Sakto ba?
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Let's bring in the other guys, please.
All right.
Where are our friends from
Balay ka samtang.
Balay Kasamtangan? Very interesting conversation, right, Ralph?
Very.
So we can, these are the kinds of people that we can talk all day,
Mm-mm.
right?
Yeah.
And you know, and I think this is one of those under discussed things in the local conversation corners, right? I mean, like very few people talk about this, or am I just in a bubble? Tanaw mo, Ralph, are there like bunch of people who we can just barge in and have them talk about culture and stuff, about who we are as a people and all of that stuff, or is it something that's a luxury? Unsa man Ralph?
I think
Tanaw ni mo, Ralph. Kita ra sige magsuraan na ni Ralph.
Pwede.
Morang amigo siguro ta sa? Ngano man, tanaw ni mo, Ralph. Ngano man ni.
feel na ko actually nga there is actually a lot of seminars and webinars and even groups of people nga kasagari sa ilang focus jud is about ang ato ang kultura.
Ato ang kultura,
Yeah, and
right?
yeah, I was surprised gani kay nakoy senior sa Butuan.
Nakay senior. What does that mean? Nakay
kuan.
senior.
Okay, dito bi ako nag-high school.
Nakay maguwang nimo.
Oo, yeah, yeah.
So junior ka, senior siya.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, niya kon I found out recently lang nga kon tig-attend siya mga seminars specifically about culture where kon gani na yung mga controversies about kon kay there are some people who are claiming that actually ang kaninga story kay gikan ani nga group murag gi appropriate ra ani nila and then some people are throwing back their counter evidence to say no that's ours ngano gi-claim man na ninyo.
Dili ba naman say controversy about where the first mass was in the Philippines, diba? Murag nag-ilog. There was a time when nag-ilog nga nakuno sa Bohol, nido kuno sa kuan sa Limasawa. Asa kay nang Limasawa na para sa Cebu? naglibog na ko basta nag-ilog. There was a time when nag-ilog ang mga historians, different factions, different groups. Nga na ako nung unang misa diri sa Cebu, nito ay uban nga sa Bohol and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. I didn't. I think I don't remember
But
how that went down.
But you know, they're trying to kaning claim nga dito gid ko nung unang misa and all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, bakit sa arbiter kaning historical facts, like who's like the god of our history, right? Like who's in charge of the history books, right?
Good question.
Kinsam gina. Is there like they're like the head honcho of history, of Philippine history?
Wala man ata. Mo siguro nang rason nga andagan kay mga claims of this being here and that being there, and
yeah.
we have to.
You can just make stuff up, right?
Sometimes it
Right?
seems like it. Yeah.
Like I claim, and I think this is true in many ways, that the world's biggest, largest claw machine is here at Tops, right? And that's in the history books, right?
That's in the history books.
Right?
Yeah, that is.
Walay maka kaning dispute niya ana, di ba?
Wala maka-dispute yun. Kaya natay Guinness World Record.
Mo lagi, pero ang nakapayta na gud, maingon ko nga. Ingon sila nga diri ang biggest claw machine according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Pero maingon mo claim de kay nga didto sa Colon, didto sa may Palm Springs, Palm Grass, na ay mas dako pa. Wala lang na record sa Guinness Book, and nobody can dispute that too, right?
Unless mo sila dito.
Mo exacta mundo, right? And then who has the time and the the resources to have to go to some stupid claim about somebody?
Lagi. Like, who has the time to double check a lot of these?
Yeah, right. So we'll just take
claims.
it at face value. Kanan na lang, oy. Kanan na lang atong
Dawaton lang.
tinapulan ba?
Lagi.
Anyway, I don't know where that conversation was going. But now we are here live with our friends from Balay Kasamtangan. Maayong buntag ninyo diha. Good morning, guys. Oh my goodness. What is that musical instrument? What do you call that again?
This is called a kubing.
Kubing.
Yes.
Okay, and can you give us a bit of background? What is that? Where did that come from, and all of that stuff?
So it's called a jaw harp, and it can be found actually within the archipelago.
Okay.
So it's a general instrument from the Cordilleras
Okay.
to the far north to the down south of
So
Mindanao.
how is that used? I mean, like, what is that originally for? Is that really part of an ensemble of other musical instruments, or can that stand on its own, and for what?
Both.
Originally.
Yeah, both actually. It depends per community because what they do is they enunciate the words like they're saying ako si rhyme. So I say I do that. And
So
right.
did you just say what you said before?
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah, ako si rhyme. So basically like
Does it sound different if you say ako si Jiggy, for example?
So
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's just getting those general notes in. And,
Okay.
That's also one of the ways to welcome or tell stories back in the
so
communities.
why would that be a part of you saying who you are? Like how well, I mean, like what's the use of that when you introduce yourself using that? What does that mean?
Well, for this, I'm just doing this because I'm having fun.
No, but originally, I
Yes,
mean, like originally, what was that for?
I think it's just basically in tradition where you when you visit someone's house or any community, you sing, you dance, and it's just that. Yeah, it's really just that. Honestly, if I could just be more direct.
What's the origin of that? Who historically created that? Because that's a very, very familiar sound. When you hear when you hear the word tribal, when you say tribal, that sound
it's
comes to mind.
grassroots.
Yeah. So where did that come from originally?
From the archipelago.
Okay.
No one, like as you said, hearing your conversation, like who was first, who was first, like can it be like syncretic? Can't we just agree that everyone had it at some point? Because back then, pre-colonially, we were all connected. You have words in Cebu that reach far down south in Mindanao.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that where there is this syncretic connection even before the Spanish arrived. So, yeah.
Syncretic, meaning to saying everybody had it at the same time. Everybody thought about it at the same time. It's like a thing that it's just naturally being thought of by different peoples. Is that what it
Yeah,
means? How,
yeah, like that and just interactions, trade, all that.
so you feel like before before we get to that, maybe you can introduce yourselves
Alright,
first. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our friends from Balay Kasamtangan. Introduce yourselves first. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ryan Bungalo. I am the ground worker.
The ground worker.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Of Balay Kasamtangan. And
Maayong buntag, everyone.
You have to grab the microphone if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Am I clear now?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
clear.
Okay,
Yeah,
much
yeah,
thank
better.
you.
yeah.
Maayong buntag sa tanan. My name is Nikki Santos Ocampo. And thank you, Sir Jiggy and Raf, for having us again.
Yeah. So my
Yes.
question is it possible ba di ay nga because you said nga it's what was the word that you said? I've never
Syncretic.
Syncretic, meaning to say it's possible that some things can arise simultaneously
Oh, yeah.
together, right?
Definitely.
Naamangoy kaning narrative ba nga if we weren't colonized, we wouldn't have been this progressive. We wouldn't probably have had, for example, the wheel or some technology, that the colonizers brought to us, right? So akong pangutana ni Ana, is it possible ba nga we would have been just as developed as as everyone else if we were not colonized? Let's just play a thought experiment. Is that possible that we would have discovered the same things because as evidenced by that musical instrument, there are just some things that arise spontaneously from different cultures. Is it possible?
I think it's possible. It could be the same thing, but the different approach.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are agriculture techniques that even in Mindanao or even in the Cordilleras that are still standing in today. Unfortunately, because the Spanish brought corn and
Yeah.
all that, that kind of disrupted the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Thus, we had to continue from there.
It's okay to talk bad about our colonizers
Yeah,
here.
it's okay. I'm
talk
being-
smack, man.
I'm being careful.
They're no longer our colonizers. We're no longer under them.
We're free.
Or
technically speaking.
or are we?
Or
Or
are
are
we?
we?
Are we?
You know what they're saying? They're saying. I told you about this, Ralph, a few days ago. Somebody said earlier that our colonizers actually never left. They just moved online.
Yes.
Our
Yeah,
colonizers
agree.
never really left. They just moved online. So yeah,
Agree.
yeah. Continue, please.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Where were we?
So we were talking about things just
Spontaneously
being innovated by different cultures, but just through a different process, perhaps.
Yeah. I think I'm a musician, actually. Yeah, my focus, ethnic music, ethnic instruments for Gubat Banwa. And one thing that's the most common thing in the whole Nusantara or Southeast Asia is drums. Percussion. It's as, as ground roots as it gets. Like, who made drums? That's the same question. Like, everyone made drums. Everyone could just literally get a bamboo and beat it. And you have your percussion. That's it. So that's what I'm trying to point out.
I'm curious, ba? I know we're gonna have to talk about Balay Kasamtangan after this, but I'm very curious. So let me just go to this rabbit hole a little bit. I'm curious, but which do you think came first, words or musical instruments? Like the sound of the human voice or the sound of a musical instrument?
I actually had a paper about that.
Yeah.
About what was the term? How sound makes feeling, or how it emphasizes certain feelings. So it was a paper specifically for music scoring, right? And I realized during that paper is that how we feel anxious. When we feel anxious, we usually, when we watch movies, when we feel in movies, and there's an anxious part, it's either like that, or where tension is coming in, it's going sharp, like really sharp, right in the ears. And if you think about it in its most basic sense, rumbling could literally mean earthquakes. It could literally mean thunder back then. High-pitched noise, it could be birds, because some people, like even other communities in the Philippines or even around the world, they actually use birds as signifiers if there's a predator around, or if there's danger. So that's still being used. And yeah, so words or sound? I think both. I think both.
Because
would still
because I
stick
have a
with both.
theory. I have a theory. What the first word is. My theory is the first word ever in the history of language when somebody dropped a heavy boulder on somebody's foot. It was
Ah,
it was agoy.
yeah,
Right? That's the first word I think. Agoy.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Is that a good theory?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, we go out crying first,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
babies.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
So what is balay kasamtangan? Kasamtangan or kasamtangan? What's the correct
Pronunciation.
intonation of that?
Mm.
Kasamtangan or kasamtangan?
I think it's a regional thing.
Okay.
So I say kasamtangan.
Kasamtangan. Okay.
Or, yeah.
So what unsa maning balay kasamtangan? Tell us about it because this is very interesting.
So, balay kasamtangan, right, from the word sasamtang,
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime. And then-
Temporary. Okay.
Yeah, so balay. It means a home to stay
Okay.
in the meantime.
Okay.
So, it's an artist residence and a homestay.
An artist residence.
Yes.
Okay.
And, basically it's an Airbnb.
Okay.
That's going to be fully decorated and curated with purely local Filipino artists
Okay.
around the world
Mhm.
and here.
Mhm.
Because we want to make a home that showcases, local creativity and genius, basically. So connecting to the question that you asked earlier, sir, do you think we would be as developed if we didn't have colonizers? I could actually argue we would be more developed.
Really? Okay.
Yes, because we would need to discover solutions that are applicable to our landscape. Now, let's take Thailand, for example, never colonized as a nation, and they built all these amazing things. Their aesthetics, their culture. They built buildings also, but in their own style, in their own amazing architecture. They have their own type of math, and that is what the Philippines actually misses. Well, as it's very relevant, the flood control issues, the reason why that arose rather, is because we didn't build our urban structures the way we should have, because the Philippines as islands were highly mountainous, It goes up and down, it plateaus.
Yeah.
So with urban architecture that's westernized, especially American urban architecture, it's usually just for plateaus, valleys, and all that. They don't-
Wetlands.
Oh.
Yes, right. So we applied that design to here, and of course, it's going to be, it's not going to work. It's
Not 100% compatible, something like that.
Yeah.
I would say it's only 10%
No,
compatible.
that is very interesting. So you're saying that Earth in Cebu is not the same Earth as let's just say Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're going to be extra scientific about it, I mean, the soil itself has different mineral components, but
But how different are how different are the topographies or land constitution and all of that stuff? I'm not a land expert, but how I don't have words to describe it. But how different is the land in other parts of the world compared to ours? I mean, like it could be just the topography, right? The shapes and all of that stuff, or is it like worlds apart?
I mean,
I'm-
generally mountainous topography is very difficult to
Yeah.
design for in
Yeah,
architecture.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
like
Diba?
Also to add, like you also have the environment, like monsoons
Yes.
and really hot summers.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So does Thailand have flood problems?
Well, we don't hear about them
Okay.
if that's the case.
Okay.
Or let's take, for example, Japan as
Mm.
well. Like, easily one of the top countries that people always say has been developed, like hyper-developed, even though they lost the wars back then.
And an argument can be made that they're super developed because they lost the war.
Well, yeah, see, so they learned. They
Yeah,
learned from their
yeah,
mistakes.
yeah.
And me personally, I've worked with the Japanese all my life. I've also been a Japanese fan. Like I'm a weeb, I like their.
Okay.
I grew up with their culture, anime,
Okay.
and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because I ended up loving their culture, and then I asked myself, why did I end up loving their culture? Japan is the only nation that speaks Japanese, and yet they were able to make the whole world learn their language.
Yeah.
So that's actually what we're advocating for here in Balay Kasamtangan. we want to have the same kind of cultural integrity that other developed nations have here with Filipinos. And the thing is, even the word Filipino is debatable and controversial in certain cultural heritage groups because not everyone that is in the Philippine Republic agreed to be part of it.
Yeah.
So this is where history is very relevant. People always ask us, why should we go back to history? It's done. And people also say, it's so that we learn from our mistakes. But what are the mistakes? Can you say what went wrong and what went right if it works for some people and if it didn't for other people?
Yeah, mistakes.
Diba?
Yeah, we always look at them as mistakes, but at that time they were not, right? When you made that decision to do this, there is a kind of a dissonance between what we think we are now and who our future selves will be, right?
Yeah.
We don't know that there are certain laws that made sense now, but you fast forward 10 years from now, it looks silly now,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that is a kind of feature of history that when we look back at our ignorance. We didn't know any better. That was the best that we knew at that time, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't that we weren't smart enough. It's just that was what we knew at that time,
Yes.
right?
I agree. Yeah, completely. And so the thing is, now that we're in this situation, and especially since we're in concrete like structures, these can't be
Yeah.
just broken down easily.
Correct. Yeah.
Even though
Kay mahitabo man gud, Ralph, mas-slide lang tanan, mag-uwan gikan sa bukid, mas-slide everything's kaning concrete, so mas-slide tanan, maabot gud sa daan mo na magbaha na das Mandawi, diya sa kuan and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
It's because of that. So I'm curious, but I know none of us here, or maybe you're engineers or architects or whatnot, right? if you had to theorize, because so we're already here anyway. So what do you think would have been the best way to build? If granting we did not discover or find out about concrete from our colonizers or whatever ways of building, what do you think could have been the best way to build?
well, that's
What's your theory?
that's why we're trying to rediscover and revitalize
Okay.
culture. We have to dig back deeper
Okay.
than the history books that we've been given.
Okay.
So you ask who writes history?
Yeah.
It's actually the most powerful person that
Yeah.
can.
And the most literate too, according to
Yeah.
Ralph,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the most
true.
literate.
Yeah.
So it's always been something that has only a certain access. It becomes only available to a crowd that can understand it. And with art and culture especially, it's supposed to be understandable to everyone. That is the purpose of revitalizing culture, because it's something that is understood without words necessarily. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So
I'm vibing.
yeah.
Why is that important?
Well, if we don't remember who we are, then we become forgettable, not just to ourselves, but to other people. That's the whole reason why the Philippines continues to struggle with itself on the global stage, in my opinion, as both a business developer and a creative. Like people always ask, oh, so what makes you a Filipino? What defines Filipino culture? And people would say things like lumpia or adobo, ube. Here in Cebu, they'd say lechon and all that. But do you want to be defined or simplified that way? You know?
like
Can you even define people? Like, what is that all about? Like, who says you can define people? What does that mean? Defining somebody? Aren't we all really just different individually?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
but we're also a product for our own environment, But it just leads me to a tangent where I said this to someone where like it's. Can I curse here?
Of course, yeah.
I
You
mean,
can do
it sucks.
Yeah,
It sucks that you only know Cebuanos for its sinulog, and that's pretty much it. Like, like it almost feels a bit tokenistic if you're asking me. There's this
So you're talking to somebody about this.
Yeah,
You only know Cebu for its sinulog.
Yeah,
and that's it.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
Okay, is this like a foreigner person or Filipino?
No, within the Philippines.
Filipino.
Yeah.
So because first of all, just for context, so Sinulog is the biggest Mardi Gras festival that we have here in the Philippines, and of course they should know that, right?
Yeah,
But if it's the only one that they know about, the only
right?
thing that they know about it, that's kind of sad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And then how did
these
the
are-
conversation go?
Wow. It went okay.
Okay.
We're still friends.
So, but why is that? Why is that the only thing that he knows about or she knows about the Philippines, the Sinulog? Why is that? Is he from Cebu? Does he have friends in Cebu?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Honestly, and I think we're so like even though we're an archipelago, we're so far apart, and that's strange to me. And I think for Balay, the mission of Balay.
Do you mean that psychologically or do you mean that physically far apart?
Well, both.
Okay.
You know? And the whole mission vision for Balay Kasamtangan is actually to bind every creative together in this art house in this and make something and make new symbolisms for it. Basically, it's a symbol in itself for creatives with the same struggle. And in that way, without those same struggles, we actually find our own differences. And from those differences comes respect and understanding. And I think I speak that specifically because I'm from Mindanao, and I'm also tired of hearing the stigma na, oh, Mindanao is this war-torn place, you got the bombs and stuff. Like, bro, like to be fair, I use that card sometimes, but
I can't go there because I'm a war here. Is that your excuse?
I'm gonna be late because there's a firefight in my backyard.
but jokes aside, when I transferred here in Cebu, I know what fireworks are, just to say, But first time in Cebu, I'm in my room and I hear, right, straight up instinct. I just duck. And I was like, oh, I'm not.
If you don't mind me asking you, what part of Mindanao did you live in?
I'm from Iligan.
Iligan,
Yeah,
okay.
Proud. I love that place.
Okay.
I love my home.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's kind of tiring to explain myself over and over to people and say, oh, this, you're very angry and you're like, no, because that's connecting it back to history. Like, there is context why there is conflict there. And it's not pretty. I don't want to say it, but it's not pretty. Search it up. But Google it, but it's not pretty. And I think Balay Kasamtangan, it's also one of the main visions of Balay Kasamtangan, is to have that mutual understanding, inter-island understanding, and maybe continue on where our, forefathers left. So, like you said, mistakes, right? So we can say we're fixing mistakes, or we would learn from their mistakes.
In an ideal world when everybody understands each other, here in the Philippines, what do you think happens when that does happen? When everybody knows each other's background and culture and all of that stuff. What's the end goal?
Do you want to understand?
Well, it is. That's the main challenge every day, for everyone to understand someone else, And I always say this thing where, how do you teach color to a blind person? Meaning, how do you explain an experience to someone who has not experienced it and might not have the capability to experience it? That's where sympathy and empathy become really difficult, because if it's outside of your imagination or scope, then how can you learn to sympathize or empathize with that person?
Yeah.
So it's the same with, the different islands. For, let's say, the urban centers, Cebu, Manila, Davao, we have a common experience as city folk. But when you go out into, let's say, the more rural areas or just, the more natural areas, you hear the stories of things like, sa sinaunang panahon, like in the early times, we used to cross rivers and just climb mountains to go 10 kilometers to school.
And we still hear those stories.
Oh,
from-
Yeah, we
yeah,
still
from-
hear it,
from-
actually.
from
From the
our-
older folk.
From the
Yeah.
older folk,
Yeah.
Actually, we experience it ourselves too.
We did, yeah. We
Thank God, right? We don't have to walk to school, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
and those things that you take for granted, there are people that still experience those things today, We had a conversation with another creative director, Ma'am Kay of Holy Cow. Shout out.
Holy
to her.
cow!
Yes,
Holy
Holy Cow. We were telling her about our experiences going around Mindanao in our immersions, and she says, it's amazing because the idea of a datu or a bai, which is a revered tribal elder lady.
Mm.
They're myths to city folk, but they are still very alive. These are titles that are being practiced in these areas, and the sad part is that a lot of revitalists sort of turn them into just concepts, caricatures, because they don't see that there are people that still live these titles. So then, even though they do it respectfully, or let's say like because they want to revere the culture, but because they don't experience it, they end up appropriating it. So, yeah, and then
What does that mean? Can you explain to our listeners what does it mean? What it means to appropriate a culture? What does that mean exactly?
so it's when you just take an idea that's not yours, diba? And you sort of claim it as yours, or you think na you can do something just because the
You
idea
bought
is,
it.
you
Yeah,
bought
just
it, or the
because you
idea is
bought it.
there.
Mm.
So like it's like saying na for example, Sir Jiggy, you had like a catchphrase, and then someone took it and just started saying it and said it was theirs. It was their idea, So that's sort of appropriating, what
Okay,
you've
okay.
done, right?
Okay.
Or yeah, how about you? Is there a better way to explain appropriation?
No,
I think it's
I think that
it's
pretty much
Okay.
encapsulated it now.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and that's why. Where are we going with this conversation?
Nowhere. Nowhere. No. What my question was kaninga unsay purpose na ba nga makibawat sa ato ang mga sensitivities and our culture and all of that. So what does that mean? So I was envisioning a world, a country that knows each other's culture by heart, and you were
Right.
saying we're more empathetic with each other. We look at each other with more understanding eyes, and so on and so forth. Right? Because I made a bold claim a few months ago about let's compare ourselves with the United States, right? Just for this discussion, they're a very divided society. The camps are the conservatives and the liberals, right?
Yeah.
There are people who believe certain things and the other does not, right?
Yes.
They're very divided, split down the middle. You can see it in their elections, right? It's almost 50-50, right?
Yeah.
Here in the Philippines, we're not divided
50-50.
by those two factions of conservatism and liberalism, right? So my contention is we're actually a very united nation. We're actually we don't really have like a chasm, like a dividing line. Social media is trying to divide us, right? Like the pinks and the dudes and the Marcus, but it's not working,
Yeah.
right? It's not working because we don't even know what they mean, what they stand for, right? These people are just supporting them because of I don't know what, because they like them, because they talk like them, or whatever, right? But there's no dividing line. So my contention is we're actually a very united nation compared to, let's just say, the United States. So is that a correct analysis in comparison to the West?
Okay. Do you want to?
I think we just acknowledge each other, and that's a start. That's good. We just acknowledge each other, but we don't really live each other's experiences. I don't know what it feels like growing up in Cebu, and vice versa. Nor y'all know how it feels growing up in Iligan, but we both acknowledge each other, and we can start there. I don't know.
So where do you think is this a divide, if there's such a thing, right? Kana imong gisulti nga sa Mindanao Gubot, that's probably not a Filipino thing. That's probably like a global thing because the news when they have news about the
Mindanao.
Philippines. About Mindanao, it becomes like from the Philippines in Mindanao, right? So when the newscaster reports this particular story, it always starts with the Philippines and then where it happened, right? And people don't know what the Philippines looks like, so it's an archipelago, pardon me, and they don't know that Mindanao is actually far from let's just say Manila or Cebu, right? So murag natural na siya, pero for a Filipino, I don't think they would think nga kung gubot sa Mindanao, gubot sa Pilipinas, di ba?
Mm.
It's not a Filipino thing. It's like a global thing.
It's actually a historical thing
Mm.
from the past governments. But I'll stop there.
Nga naman, Swan.
Yeah.
What are you scared of, man?
Google it.
Maybe I can approach it.
Yeah, maybe
in
you
a way.
go ahead.
Well, actually, so that's where the chasm is.
Yeah.
If you're going to ask me if
Oh.
there is, because let's say with the Kakampings and on the Dutertes
Mm.
and then versus the Marcos, the reason why people support Duterte is because he was the first to represent in a way, Mindanao, because Mindanao has been marginalized for the longest time. And it also carries the most diversity in the entire archipelago culturally. So, since people don't experience that or understand that, let's say, especially in Manila, and I can say that because I'm a Manila girl, so
Okay.
come for me, Manila. Sige lang, if there's anyone that's gonna fight me in the comments.
Okay, go Manila girl, go.
I will happily call out the ignorance of my city.
Okay, go ahead.
As the
Yeah.
capital.
Yeah, yeah.
Because again, it's been in power for so long.
Okay.
And because of that, they believe that every Filipinos' experience is the same as them.
Okay.
And so when the news about Mindanao and the violence, comes up, and we all know that the most sensational news is always the most violent one.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
sells the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
That's
Bad news.
why
The algorithm rewards that.
diba?
Mm,
Bad news because it brings up feelings. It goes, hello, oh my gosh. It fear mongers,
Yeah.
like it because that's what that's what makes people move, anger or fear. So, Manila thinks that it's not vulnerable to that type of violence. What they don't remember and realize is just that Manila has the money to cover it up. That kind of the let's say wars between politicians. This is where it gets a little bit
Go ahead. Please
a
continue.
little bit dicey, but
Dicey again, allusion to their game, right? So yeah. So
ayun,
please continue.
the with like politicians, it's very easy to cover up their tracks.
Okay.
in Manila.
What do you mean? I don't understand. What are they covering?
I mean, just
You mean the corruption? What do you mean?
not just corruption, but like
What tracks are they covering?
let's say gun violence.
Okay.
I live in BGC,
Okay.
and people would always
Wow,
say,
social.
Sorry.
Is that is that an incorrect assessment of BGC? It's always social, right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right?
I mean,
Huh?
people keep saying it's the same.
Are there shanties in BGC? Are there squatters in BGC?
Oh, no. Well, people keep saying it's the Singapore of the Philippines.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is,
Sa sakto ang characterization, sakto.
well, the thing is nga, like I do hear gun violence in BGC.
Okay.
And you don't hear it in the news,
Mm.
because people are able, like, I don't even want to mention the name, but we know who built it.
Okay.
Like they have the power and the money to.
Bonifacio built it, right?
We can stay there. Okay,
Yeah, we can say there. That's why it's called Bonifacio
Okay.
Global City. But,
Okay.
there are people that are able to cover that up, basically, because
Why would they want to cover it up? I don't understand.
it's bad for business.
Okay.
It's bad for real estate. If
bad
people,
PR.
Yeah. If people know that, BGC is not as safe as it is, then the prices of the homes would go down.
I remember the story of what do you call this? Chase Cocalyong ba?
Aye.
He mentioned this a long time ago. I don't know if this is relevant to this conversation, but he mentioned this a few months ago when he did a game in BGC where he hid money.
Oh, word.
Did you hear about that?
No.
He hid, like, that's his thing, right? He like hides stuff and then people have to discover it to make money to win.
Oh.
And he was hiding like 5 Easter eggs, right?
Oh.
They're worth like 50,000 pesos, for example, right?
Wow.
And they hid it all over BGC, and he announced it on his Facebook. And everybody, from all the buildings, from all of the condos, went down and looked for it, right?
Wow.
In BGC. So he's saying, like, people there also still need money.
Yeah.
They're not as rich as we think they are.
Well, all the money goes to the rent kasi. Yeah.
I'm just saying that's actually an interesting point of view, bang. We have a characterization of a place, but it's only always partially true, right? It's not.
Yes.
It's never the
Surface
full
level.
picture, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. It's only what media presents,
Yeah.
and media is driven by those that can control it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Them
So-
reactions, them shares and likes.
So
Yeah.
this balay kasamtangan that you built in Bukidnon,
Yes.
it is right. It is already up and running. Am I correct?
Wala pa.
Wala pa. So when will this be up and running, and what's the sort of like the completion date?
Oh, so hopefully by 2028.
2028. Okay.
Yeah, we can finish it. We're actually looking for co-owners of
Okay.
the space.
Okay.
We hope to register with the SEC by this year.
Okay. So if you want to be a part of this movement, if you want to call it that, this balay kasamtangan, and be part of building it, what should the listeners do and the
Oh.
viewers do? What's the process like?
Okay, you can just go to our website,
Which is
balaykasamtangan.com.
okay.
Yeah, and just sign up to our newsletter. That's where we'll tell everyone
Okay.
when it's ready for investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this balay kasamtangan, is this like an original idea that's sprouted from these beautiful islands of the Philippines? Or was it
My
inspired?
goodness.
Was it inspired by somewhere like a place somewhere out there in the world, or maybe another planet?
You can do it.
I can do it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, from a business perspective, it's not original.
Okay.
It's literally a very well decorated Airbnb.
Okay.
It will have 14 rooms, so it's sort of a mansion,
Mhm.
exclusive in the mountains, with beautiful views, just like here in Tops,
Mm.
mountain views overlooking the valley.
Mm.
But on the deeper side and personal side, it's really a space for creatives or cultural bearers to come and find a home, find an incubator space where they can express and develop their ideas further, and especially the deeper culture in this archipelago.
So what particular artists are you serving? Like, is this a place that an author would want to stay? Is it a place that a musician would want to stay? Is it a place that somebody who's making an audiobook would like to stay? Do you have like
Specific.
recording studios? Do you have like
It's
a
on the plan.
do you have like I don't know, like a place for authors, like a corner without any noise, so he can write or whatever?
Oh, Sir Jiggy, are you asking for yourself? Because we love to have you as our resident.
I mean, I
So
hope you
how-
like cicadas.
how does it work?
Yeah, any type of artist,
Okay.
honestly. Just as long as you,
So is there a recording studio eventually there?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So,
the plan.
so you're gonna build a recording studio?
Yes, yeah, we hope to have that.
Okay.
To cater to just any form of art and
Okay.
media. And yeah, or even if you don't identify as an artist,
Mhm.
really, if you just want to come and stay in a nice place that is full of Filipino art,
Mm.
come stay with us,
Mm.
and it's a place to rest.
Okay.
Our tagline is Samtang Kapamalandong.
Yeah.
San samtang pamalandong. In English ako na Ralph. While
Reflecting.
reflecting.
While reflecting.
That's an accurate Englishization. Englishization. Ang atong tak na karon 23 minutos nang milabay sa alas 11. You just heard our friends from Balay Kasamtangan. They're actually already starting to build it, and it'll be hopefully completed by 2028, right? And if you want to know more about this project and maybe even be part of the project or book ahead so that it'll still be cheaper, right? if you book ahead.
Get it
So
now.
where should they go again? Can you invite them one more time to go?
To balaykasamtangan.com.
balaykasamtangan.com. Pardon me, but can you spell it for us, please?
Okay, so balay, BALAY,
Okay.
and then kasamtangan,
Okay.
so
Okay.
KASAMTANG.
Okay. So
Mm.
they're looking
AM.
for investors, and maybe you, sir, you, ma'am, may want to be a part of this huge undertaking, which will be in Bukidnon and completed this 2028 Balay Kasamtangan. Now, of course, you're both here, Balay Kasamtangan and Gubat Banwa, for a reason, right?
Yes.
You both are here because there's a great big event that's happening very soon this October.
Yes.
Am I
love it.
correct?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
What event is this? And maybe we can bring our friends from Gubat Banwa if it's okay with you guys.
Yes.
Ang ato ang takna karon 24 minutos nang milabay sa alas 11. You're still listening to Top of the Morning. If you want to join us in our conversation, please join us. You can add your comments on the chats. We're on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. If you have any questions, if you'd like to be a part of Gubat Banwa and get the how do you call this, the starter kit. If you want to be a part of Balay Kasamtangan, and go to their website, or whatever questions you have about cultural restoration and preservation. So you guys are both here now. I've been wanting to ask this question since the beginning of this show. Ang akong pangutana ani is kaning nepotism and corruption is part of our culture, right? Is that a correct statement? And is that worthy of restoration?
Wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I think they are the darker manifestations rather of like, as with a lot of like values ba. Nasa basically darker side if you actually like if you take things to extreme, like for example, if you're too nice and it gets to a point that you let people walk over you, I guess it's kind of that.
So what particular aspect of culture is this going? This you're saying it goes too far, right?
Yeah.
Too much of everything becomes its complete opposite. So what aspect of our culture
Can I
is
take
this?
Oh,
Is this
let me start with
Sige, go.
Kay to me ba it reads like, how for like in general, like as humans, but we have this like urge to like gather for our family ba, like to tipon to
closer to the microphone,
sorry.
please? Okay.
We have this urge in general, but like to protect our family, to like stand up for our friends, to like, basically get more resources so you don't starve. But the too much of that,
Mm.
yeah, you can build off of that.
Yeah, I was gonna also like, you know how, sorry about that. Right, you mentioned like something that's innate. I don't think it's really innate, but again, as Faye mentioned, it's this drive to like protect our families. Like, you always hear this phrase like, we're very family centric and we would do anything for them. Like, would you steal 1 trillion for your family? Like, what lengths would you go to, right? Like, so it becomes less enriching yourself, but more like enriching yourself and your family at the expense of everyone else. So I believe like, if we're going by corruption in that sense, I believe that it's reflective of that, because I don't necessarily think that, we are naturally certain things, right? Like, or that we are predisposed towards these negative things.
So this
as
is
a people.
family values gone wrong, right?
Mm.
Is that a correct characterization? Because funny that you mentioned that. That's actually I had that theory a few years ago that this is like family values gone wrong. Like, di ba, maingon man tanga, I want to provide for my family, right? And but it goes beyond that, like ako mga apo, di ba? Ang apo sa akong mga apo sa akong mga apo sa akong mga, it just goes on forever, right?
Yeah.
So ang pasabot niya na walay kakautuban ng ang imong pagpaninguha nga ma-serve nimo imong the 10th generation of your family, right?
Yeah.
So but how do we is there a way to stop that? How do we at what point do you stop my love for my family? Shame on you for stopping me. I want the 100th generation to still be billionaires, right? Right?
Damn.
Wow. You want to take this one?
Yeah,
How can you stop me from loving my family, man?
I guess at that point you have to think about now, like, is it actually for your family, or do you just really like the idea of like just using the idea of just justifying hoarding for your family? Are you just using your family as justification for all the hoarding? Because it comes to a point where like when you get so desensitized to exploitation, that you have to think about like you are not the only one whose families are trying to protect themselves and trying to like have
But
resources.
I'm thinking about the 100th generation of my family. I don't want them to suffer.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you don't know that like for a lot of people.
Well, I sure know what money can do.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but I
For
know what
sure.
money can do. So I'm sure if I have $1 billion, for example, I'll probably be able to save them from suffering.
Yeah, I think that's the thought process of a lot of people. But we don't really know. That's the thing. Like, we can only know what's in the present. We can only learn from the past. The future is like we can prepare for it as much as we can, but at the end of the day and at the end of our lives, man, we will never know what it's gonna hold. So for me, I think like we still need to be considerate. Like, yes, we have our own families. Yes, we have we have to prepare for it as much as we can. But when you're exploiting other people who also have families who that they want to protect, right?
Where does this love of I know it's a general thing, right?
Yeah.
To love your family, right? It's
Yeah.
evolutionary, like of course we love them
Yeah.
because it's our children. But where does this come from? I in that theory, part of it is because of our religion, right? Because we, family first, right? And
Yeah.
all of that stuff. But that's just my theory. Where do you think this over love for family comes from?
I think it's just a general
But that's
like
human nature.
stuff
But
these people-
in our culture, it's especially we're more family oriented compared to. That's why we our nurses, for example, are very well loved because we look at our aging population in a different way compared to, let's just say, the Americans, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
right? So it's
That's so
really
true.
in our culture. So
Yeah.
where do you think does this come from? Is from our religion
I
part of it?
Okay, well, I would say as putting this out there,
Mm.
I actually think that the reason why we're so family centric is because a lot of our old kin groups and a lot of the ways that our societies were arranged were disrupted, and the family was the only institution that survived.
Well, what do you mean?
Because if you look at and Rhyme can correct me on this, but if you look at how indigenous the indigenous peoples of the Philippines have their kin groups, it's very you're not just a
Not by
father.
blood.
Yeah, you're not just by blood. Like, you can be the father to your nephew, basically, in that sense, right? Like, your brother can have his kid live with you, and then that will be your son in that sense. But it's a lot more. It's
Closely knit?
I wouldn't say it was closely knit, but it's different in
It's
in
more
that
so
sense.
of affinity
Yeah.
rather than connection by blood. It's
Mm.
our connection to community. It's all those things.
Yeah,
It's
and
less
our-
so of blood relations.
Yeah, so it's shared our connection to the community and the land and everything at large.
I think that's what you're describing is quite universal, right? It's not just here in the Philippines. I think, but there has to be a glue that held us together ever closer. It could be our poverty because we have no choice. We have extended families,
Yeah.
and we have to live with our lolos and lolas
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that could
Mm.
definitely be a factor because at the end of the day, you will cling, even if not by blood, you will cling to people who show up for you.
Mm.
And here in the Philippines, we've experienced so much things in generational trauma getting passed down. At the end of the day, we only have each other.
Mm.
Yeah.
That goes for family, that goes for friends,
Yeah.
whoever you desire to surround yourself with.
Yeah, and to go back to my previous point, a lot of these pre-colonial kin groups kind of got disrupted when the encomienda system and the ayuntamiento was imposed on us,
The
right?
Social systems
And then we
imposed
got-
by colonization.
Yeah, we got placed in parishes, and then
Yeah.
a lot of I'm pretty sure it was jarring, so people held on to family throughout all of that, and then that's what survived through the Spanish, the Americans, the Japanese, and
That's why you've got so much records of these old families even here sa Cebu.
oh yeah, definitely. Got a lot of old families here that have been here for forever.
Like what
basically.
particular families, for example?
I mean,
Do you have family names? Like,
Yung family.
yun sa family.
Yes, go
Asa?
Bill.
Kinsa mo ba?
Ang
Kinsa imong pamilya ba?
okay, so I'm part of the Briones family.
Oh, Briones. Okay.
Yeah, but my grandmother was Concepcion Gantuangco
Okay.
Briones.
Okay.
She wrote Life in Old Parian,
Okay.
and that details a lot of the old
She's
families.
one of
Mm.
the first journalists sa Cebu.
She was president of the Pen, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Yeah, and she wrote about how a lot of these families have settled who have been in Cebu forever. Like the Gantuangcos only came in from Aluginsan, if I remember correctly, in Talisay, but like
I've
Cebu
always thought
City
that
itself
Gantuangco is a Chinese family. It's not.
it is
Okay.
like assimilated. I think that the term was Sanglay.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the records, Sanglay meant like basically Christianized Chinese. So that's
okay.
why you have a lot of Chinese families in
So,
Cebu.
pardon me, but the Gantuangcos came in at what point of the family's history? Like before the Spaniards came in, or no?
1800s.
1800s.
If I remember
Okay.
correctly. Yeah. I'm probably getting the dates like probably earlier, like 17 something. But yeah, around that time.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So we have a real life Gantuangco here, straight off of that long historical lineage, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk to Rhyme here. Looks like Rhyme has some reason. So Rhyme, we were just talking about how nepotism and corruption is such a part of our culture here in the Philippines. And what do you think has contributed to that? We were talking about how it could be family and our love of family gone bad. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, okay. Not that it's related to humans, but you know the saying, "Never corner a scared animal." And I think how suffering transform. You know how suffering, it warps our morality. You know, suffering warps our morality for justification of survival, and yeah, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So are you saying that these politicians are suffering and they are desperate to have food on their table? So the corruption, or are you talking about just everybody
Yeah,
else?
I'm just
The
talking
the
about-
general
yeah.
population that includes them, by the way.
I'm
Right?
just talking about the meta.
Okay.
regarding it.
Okay.
But
If I could,
Yeah.
if I could
Please add. Yeah.
Well, if the politicians or the Nepo babies would say that, it's because their threshold for suffering has been heightened. So, of course, because when you live in the lap of luxury, your definition of suffering becomes different.
Yeah, I
from
know.
everyone
First world
else's.
problems, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
diba?
yeah. Yeah.
Hashtag that. So, they could justify that. And of course, just based on their humanity, they have their own problems. We all have our own problems. There's no such thing as a life without problems. You just have to choose which ones you deal with.
Choose your pain. Yeah.
Yes, choose your pain. But again, for these people that are in power, they become the reason why other people have problems because
Yeah.
of their life choices. So, and now I'm getting scared. I'm like, oh, who's going to come after me for saying that?
Okay, okay.
But, it's a good wake-up call to them. And it is, for me personally, to attack someone's safety, I don't agree with that. But there is a need for a wake-up call, because if your threshold is just, not for suffering is not realistic anymore, then you have to be reminded of what it truly is. What is real strife? What are the struggles that people have to deal with that you've successfully secured yourself from, that you've protected yourself? And unfortunately, for a developing nation like the Philippines, people in power will still think that they are unempowered because they compare themselves to empires like the States or Japan. Obviously, because they have their own efficient systems. They will think, oh, we don't have as much money as those countries. We're not on the same level as those politicians. They have trillions of dollars. And of course, that also comes from history. The reason why they are at the top is because they have extracted from us. We had the treasures and the gold and the heritage items that they now happily display in their museums. So it's levels of oppression.
Yeah, they don't get to that point. They don't get to that point without exploitation.
Yes.
Yeah, this exploitation narrative. Although I agree with you, but isn't this like a kind of rabbit hole? You know what I mean? Like, but they did this to me, but they did. But before that, they did this, and let's go back to like 100 years. Like it never ends. the oppression never ends. Somebody oppressed who and
Mm.
what? And so do you think that this is a path that we'd like to go? Is this a good path?
What do you mean? By
The-
that
That
specifically?
like for example, when there are certain wars, right? And then they took our land from us, and then subayon ba? Subayon pa ito magsinubay ita, then it becomes like an endless subay until the end, right? So is that the correct way of looking at when we are trying to solve a kind of problem, an injustice, for example? Subayon is that the way it works? Na subayon gin mo kinsag yung original who did the original sin and all of that stuff?
I believe, like, since you mentioned Subay, I will bring another Bisaya word,
Yeah.
angkon.
Oh.
So I believe, like, the way forward is mag-angkon na ita.
Mm.
Like, we're not gonna ever go back to when that did from before those things
Yeah.
happened,
Mm,
right?
mm.
We can't, we can't find all the gold that they melted
Mm.
Yeah.
when they grave robbed the graves in Mandaue in Legazpi's
Mm,
time, right? We can't like account for that,
Mm.
but at least there should be like an acceptance that these things happened, and I mean people enriched themselves, right? Like we can't go back, but there are people who are.
But
I
who,
know.
who will speak for the dead? Like who will speak for these people that were the perpetrators of the injustice, for example?
In the sense that
Minsan may mo angkon, in other words.
in that sense, it's less about putting the blame or
Mm.
like putting someone to task. I mean, obviously with our politicians we should, right?
Mm.
Right. But like for I'm not gonna go find Legazpi's descendant and
You
go,
did this to us.
Yeah.
like we can't do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But at least there should be like a general go, hey, recognize that these things happen and maybe we can build something else, right?
So let's talk about more recent problems like we talked about earlier. Corruption, flooding, nepotism, nepo babies, and all of that stuff. How much of our past, our cultural past, contributed to all of these?
That's a lot.
Okay, I mean, okay, let's go with flooding, right?
Mm.
Because that's very that's a very clear and present issue, right? Like if you look, I'm sure Baijaya has mentioned it here in this radio countless times about how our rivers are dying slash dead. Like you look at any river in Cebu, right? Like we paved over. Like Mandaue used to be a swamp, by the way, and that's why it's all. And it remembers.
Yeah.
It remembers that it's a swamp. And
I
then-
know a lot of places here in Manila, Mandaue. I think where the Oak Ridge used to be, that used to be like Kalunasan man diya, di ba? And there were like several bodies of kind of swamps that I am aware of that have been cemented, right?
Yeah, because like the people who made those decisions, or like were influenced by the events that happened before that. The context of that, right? Like we've lost the importance of these places, right? We don't really think about our rivers, like especially when you pass by Boys High and you see the river there. Like it's more of an obstacle than anything. So. But these are the things that contribute. We have to be looking at these to have feasible solutions to flooding, right? Like there used to be a lake near Parian, like and a lot of these things weren't considered because I mean, let's face it, when the
Sige,
people
pasabta ko no ko ba, like how will the lakes, if ever, let's just say they didn't build over those bodies of water that you mentioned. And those kalunasan, kato mga swamps and all of that stuff, if they didn't build anything on them and cemented them, how would that help in the flooding problem? Maybe you can just give it a kind of idea.
I can't pull out
Okay.
the exact paper I
Okay.
read this from.
Okay.
But if I remember correctly, I read somewhere that post-war people were thinking of making, like we live in Mandaue.
Okay.
Both of
Mandaue
us are-
hanon mo day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mandaue, people were planning to make it like something like Jakarta or Venice, right? Like a kind of
Yeah, that's also a factor. A factor to it is like the native architectures, kay katong mga bahay kubo na elevated. So it's like even when it floods, there's still like space sa ubos ba na that's mostly not, like it's mostly just like the stands ba.
Like stilts.
Yeah, the
Uh-uh.
stilts. Kay back in Bicol because like ano naman, like I was able to like see Bahay Kubo back when I was a kid, and like it was like it rained a lot in Bicol. It's flooding a lot in Bicol, and back then you barely felt it kay open ba ang kanal unya ang mga balay sa karaan was like still on like mga stilts like and because of like colonization that the idea of like this kind of architecture is backwards even if it's suited to like to our climate to the geography
And I can actually give a very specific like instance of that, like very personal, very specific. So we were renting a house, right, in Mandaue, and that was built like I believe it was built like in the late 80s, right? Around that time, and it's a sloping house. It looks very American. It's like it's one of those I can't. I would I would have to draw it.
Okay.
But the point is, those types of designs were built to keep in heat, and it's very hot in our house. And
Designed to keep in heat.
yeah,
Okay.
an American style house.
What was
I
it?
would
Was
suppose.
it very cold in that area?
No, it was just I don't know why they
Okay.
built it like that.
Okay.
But I did look up like certain houses like in the US where it's a certain shape to trap in heat. And I'm living in a house that traps in heat.
yeah but those
And-
houses in the States are like
Yeah.
older areas.
Exactly. So why would you build something like that, right? Like what's the thought process that leads you to build a house like this?
Okay, maybe they
In
just
this
copy
place.
pasted on
Yeah.
siguro, diba?
Yeah, diba? Like what's
Oh.
the why? Because it's America and prestige, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah,
yeah. We-
Acceptable.
We
Yeah.
actually talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Again, would we be more developed if we weren't colonized?
Okay.
For designs like that,
Yeah.
that's where we would win.
Okay.
Because we would design for the problems that we have here, not based on someone else's topography.
And I was actually talking to an architect who actually built this place that we're in right now. I was asking him like, why are all of the books of architecture are not written by us? Yeah, and if you go to USC now or whatever school, you can I can tell you right now that these books are not written by Filipinos, right? So their whole perspective on what to build is based on their hometown or home place, right? So it's dili gud siya bagay ba. So my question, I guess, here is it too late? Like this whole surge of progress that we're enjoying now. Look at that view of the city of Cebu, all the skyscrapers. Like is it too late?
Oh, it's never too late.
It's
Not in my
never
opinion.
too late.
Yeah.
So what would be the first thing that we should do?
I
Tear them down? What?
Before all of that, grabe. Direct. Before all of that, I guess I would say if it was too late, then why are there still initiatives pushing that is the right thing? If if they didn't need, if there's a lot of movement to say that it's hopeless now, why is there still pushback from all of us that that there must be something as to why we're all still trying to like not less so fight back but more voice out and look at where we came from and recognize why this is like this suits us more.
Yeah. How did we get here,
Yeah.
and what can we do in that sense? Because
and it's not gonna I mean to say as well, it's like it's not gonna happen all in one night. It's it's
yeah,
little steps.
a very interesting thing too, because we did mention like the seminars and talks at Palmgrass, right? One of the recent ones, I believe it was from them, was about the old waterways of Cebu, and you get to see the maps, and that's why I know that there used to be a lake near Parian, and how best to how we can use that information and knowledge to like make better decisions in city planning, I suppose. I know that's that's a big thing, like that's a big endeavor, but like at least we know that this river feeds into that river, and it's historically there used to be a river here,
Yeah.
and it comes back every time it rains hard. Like
Yeah,
the road
But
becomes
that's all that happens. It just comes back, but and then what? You know what I mean? Like, so the wheels of commerce is unstoppable, right? We unbeknownst to some of us, most of us maybe, we're actually part of this thing we call progress, right? Maybe we don't even know that we're part of the progress that's also part of the destruction of our planet, our city.
Yeah.
So going back to the question, and I think I'll rephrase this one too. What's progress? What is that? What does that even mean? What does progress actually mean? Is this progress? Is this what we're looking at? Look at that. We have a beautiful view of Cebu City again. Is that progress?
That's the Western definition of progress.
Okay.
It's contextual.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Contextual.
If I may.
Go ahead,
For,
go ahead.
For me, my opinion of it is that progress is when you do better than you did yesterday.
Okay.
Right. So we're faced with these problems now. And so now we're actively trying to find a solution.
Okay.
I used to work with an urban planning group called Out Mobility PH.
Okay.
Shout out to them. I haven't been active in a really long time, but these were amazing people, lawmakers, engineers, transport experts. I was their creative director. And what I learned from them are all these case studies of how, let's say, actually, South Korea was built the same way the Philippines was back in the 80s, actually. They had a skyway over their river. And they were able to overcome that, the same traffic problems that we face today, by restructuring their city. So they actually allowed the river and the natural flow of it to come back.
Okay.
They did have to tear down the skyway, but eventually they got there 40 years later, and now Korea is also again one of the most economically successful nations in the world. So for me, in a hopeful way, I would say that as long as we keep working towards improving our landscapes, and of course that's difficult to feel right now, but if we continue to push for better, governance, accountability, and we do our part in also shaping our landscapes, then we'll be able to overcome those things. And we have to tap back into the ancient wisdom that we had.
Do you think we can overcome the power of money?
Well, we have to use the power of money to overcome.
So
that.
fire against fire?
Not fire against fire, but more of
Fight
like
fire with fire?
use a tool where you should. In
Okay.
the same way one uses a blade or a sword. People often see that as a tool for violence. But back then, it was a tool for self-defense. It was a way to...
It's for farming as well.
Yeah, and for agriculture, So it's really just about how you use your tool. It depends on the person, on how they wield it. And people always say that, money is the root of all evil, but it's actually the person's motivations that make it evil. Money doesn't have any feel. Money does not compel you to be corrupt. It is the excess of it, because you feel you feel how much you can do with it. And when those boundaries, those limitations, are erased, that's when people go bad. That's when, politicians end up digging into it because they see that they can. And so you have to put parameters around that. That's why, in our republic, we supposedly have all these, bureaucracy, democracy, we have
And all the crises.
all the
And all the deadly isms that plague our planet.
Oh, diba? So, it's just placing the appropriate structures around these powerful tools that will help you channel them properly. In the same way, a city is built so that the architecture channels people,
And one thing that our listeners and our viewers can do is to attend our event. That's a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, actually, yes.
So tell us about this event that you guys
First off, it's
are
a
here
better
for.
use of money.
Exactamundo, right?
So-called.
So tell us all about this event, because I'm very excited about this event. Go ahead. Who wants to start?
Go first.
No, you should talk about cultural revitalization.
Go ahead. Cultural revital. But tell us about the event first. Date, venue.
Kamugnaan sa Atua, from the name, so it's, sa Atua Midtown, October 11th 2025 Saturday starting at 1
Yes,
1 p.m.
Okay.
until 7 p.m.
Okay. So what is this event all about?
So we have a
Why should they go?
we have a marketplace for all local creatives.
Okay.
And then, so yeah, you're absolutely supporting small local businesses and artists that are, that have a very.
What kind of artists are we talking? Do you have paintings for sale? Like
We actually have a local Cebuana perfumer.
oh,
yeah.
okay.
We have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Based on what's the local smell?
Oh, so she has this excellent scent called Lumay.
Okay.
That was her.
Uy, lumay.
Yeah,
Uy,
diba?
Ralph, lumay.
Ako din. Ako din.
Lumay?
Nangita mo na siya ganang lumayon. Pasabta tong mga kaigsunan. Unsa man ginang lumay galito? Can you explain to our listeners what lumay is?
Oh,
Kinumdum ko, ayo kaon na kay lumayon ka. Oh, what's up? Sige pasabot ana. So nang lumay di ay. Ha?
It was.
Where did that word come from?
I believe it was something you let someone drink so that they'll like fall for you.
Exactly,
It's
but
like the old-
where was the original lumay? Asam tam na nasa kihor ko no? Tinood na nasa kihor ang lumay?
In that sense, I believe it comes from stems from like the old practices with
Okay.
terms of like old medicine. but
Okay.
A lot of that, like it's not. A lot of that is still around. I think you go to certain
So-
parts of Colon, you can still get.
Sige. Ang sunod pangutana ani, kinsa imong gilumay de ba? Ana kay gilumay
I
wala.
don't think I need to.
they're covered.
Like for ethical reasons. But yeah,
So using lumay is unethical, di ay?
I would.
Huh?
I would believe so.
It makes for a good story, but ethically,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Hey.
So but you do believe that there's an actual lumay, di ay?
I
don't-
think
that-
that's just no.
Yeah.
Not actually.
So this particular smell is called lumay,
Yes.
right? So what is it made of without the revealing too much?
Well, it has notes of chocolate
Oh.
apparently. So
Oh.
yeah,
Mm.
well-known aphrodisiac.
Oh.
Yeah. So very that it's a unisex smell, and
So this is not because I know there's like a scent place in Natua. This is not that place, right? This
Yeah,
is
no,
this is
it's
like
not.
different,
It's not.
right?
Yes.
Okay,
This,
all
this
right.
brand is called Made with Lab.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
Yeah.
local.
Yes, very local. She just started this
Wow.
year. So
wow.
yeah, Lumay was her first scent, and she's coming out with a signature scent for our event.
Oh,
Yeah, so she's
Wow.
gonna surprise us. We don't
Wow.
know what it's made of.
is her thing online right now? Can I look it
Yeah.
up?
yes, made
Instagram
with
and
love.
Facebook.
Made
Yeah.
with love. Okay, go
Made
ahead.
with
So,
love.
LABS.
Yeah,
lab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the other vendors and stuff that you can buy there aside from this
Oh.
local scent. Go ahead.
We flew in these craft dice makers from Manila called
Okay.
Dice Reno.
Okay.
And yeah, they make resin dice, as in like usually the ones that you usually like see sa mga online shopping is like mga mass produced, but they actually make it themselves. Like they get like mga random found materials, not random, like of course I'm just saying that, but mga found materials that they like mga flowers. Sometimes they encase mga bees. Sometimes like certain designs that they
Is
like.
it getting
sa mga
hand carved or printed ni siya?
It's resin, so it's like molded.
So hand molded. Dili siya print digital printer.
Nope.
Okay.
They look like gems, basically.
Yeah.
They look like crystals, amethyst,
Or candy if you're insane and you wanna.
yeah, they do look like candy.
Yeah.
If you're drunk enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, kamugnaan sa Atua is a joint. That's it. It's our joint venture basically to like celebrate the things that we believe ought to be seen more and to make these connections between these disparate things because we have a lot of interests like we do martial arts, we're into history, and we're into tabletop games, and we're very passionate about learning about culture and learning from each other, right? So we did this event to bring all of that together. So we have people doing board games and tabletop games. We have MMA gym coming in. I'm gonna do some demos, and then we.
Which martial art?
Oh, they're gonna do. I believe they're gonna do a demo for like Yao Yan, which is like Philippine kickboxing in that sense. And we're also doing like again, as mentioned, we're also bringing in these dice makers, Dice Reno, and Made with Labs. So it's it's an eclectic event basically. Like people wouldn't normally think these things are connected, like tabletop games, board games, martial arts, culture,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But we believe that there's something to bringing these disparate passions together, right? Because like a lot of people in the MMA gym, like our coach, he's super into tabletop games actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And also
And
history.
and there are some tabletop people who are actually like really into like Dan said, into history, into like creating stuff, like mga being creative, doing art. Also, actually MMA practitioners as well. Not even
Yeah.
MMA, but just a bunch of
Yeah.
martial arts.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then and I would like to segue to our friends to, for our guests that we have invited to the event. There you go.
So we'll be bringing in 3 chieftains or datus.
Wow.
Yeah, from one from the Manobo Camiguingnon
Mm-mm.
community, one from the Matigsalog community,
Oh.
and then
What is that? I've never heard of that. What's a matigsalog? What is that?
Matigsalog is a community, is a ethno-linguistic community
What is that?
in
Like
Bukidnon.
in Bukidnon?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like a is it a,
People.
is it a tribe? A kind of
Yeah,
tribe?
yeah.
Define matik.
Matigsalog is those who live near the Salog or the river. Those who live
Oh.
by the river.
Salog to salog to us is
Yeah,
floor, right? Floor.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. So, but yeah, and then we also have a doctor, and his focus right now is into traditional beads.
Mm.
Trading. These are
Mm.
trading beads. Like,
Mm.
yeah. So see Doc Eli. But yeah, who else?
And from Cebu.
yeah, from Cebu.
And from Cebu, we have Baijaya.
Yeah.
Kadaugan.
Yeah.
So will there be also like mga seminars and talks and all of that stuff?
Oh yeah.
And then do you have like a schedule of the?
Oh yeah, we
all
do
the
have
talks?
a schedule. The one that
What-
Ray mentioned will be our talk for the second part of the day, which is from 5 to 7.
Okay.
The first part of the that would be the talks on cultural preservation. For the first part of the day, starting from 2 to 4, would be on cultural revitalization, which would be Sword Isle Studios, the ones who made Gubat Banwa. This game designer from Manila who's currently developing a game inspired by Filipino folklore. The game is called Mangayaw, and the developer is called Benj Dino. Shout out sa iya. I've been teaching him Bisaya incrementally.
Who?
Si Benj, kay dili man siya kasabot sa Bisaya.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah, and hoping that we get them is La Liga. Yeah, Sir Ken Villaflor of La Liga.
So what
Reenactors.
what are they going to talk about?
That panel will be for cultural revitalization, creativity, and design. You know how that helps with
Okay.
cultural revitalization.
So do you need to sign up ahead of time to be able to listen to these talks, or is it like
Well,
first come first serve? How does it work?
Well, for the first panel, it is first come, first serve.
Okay.
The space is very limited.
Okay.
We probably only have 20 seats.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
The second talk is invite only,
Okay.
unfortunately,
Okay.
because these are significant. These are dignitaries.
Okay.
You know, we can't just let anyone walk in. We
Okay.
invited academics, other cultural bearers who can understand the discussion and contribute. In between that, we also have a puso making workshop by Cebu Making Space. So, you know, like if anyone who wants to come learn again, that's very Cebuano, you know, that is, again, ancient wisdom and indigenous genius, you know, indigenous. Just, yeah, for
True.
1 hour, you can learn how to make a puso at the second floor of Atuwa Midtown.
But you can't cook it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh.
No,
It
you just
will
learn
take
how to fold.
longer. It'll take longer.
Ay, okay.
Yeah, you just learn how to fold the puso.
Yeah.
By the way, does anybody know the story of puso? Like why did we make puso? Was it like what, like kaldero or someone like kinahantag kanang kanong dili mabungkag? Ano, what do you have any history about the puso?
Well, nothing too extensive, but I believe it reflects how maritime our culture
okay.
was. Like, you know, that's what you needed something to bring with you on
Okay.
the bangka
Okay.
as well, and then you could just eat it.
Oh.
Like you could. The good thing about the
Wala
puso
wa pay
is-
Tupperware atong una, di ba?
Yeah.
Wa pay Tupperware, wala pay plastic atong una, di ba? Nya isuod na lang nimo ibalot na lang nimo og saging, di ba?
Yeah.
Mo na siya himog puso.
And if I'm remembering
man.
this,
Makes sense.
and if I'm remembering this correctly, the puso was also used like as an offering to old ancestor worship and Dewata worship. It was also part of that too.
Ah.
So you would offer up
They
puso.
do that pa po sa
Indonesia.
Bali.
Yeah, yeah.
Indonesia.
Is there puso in Indonesia?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Indonesia,
Same exact thing?
napod sa Thailand, they have their own names for it.
Okay.
But like the same shape.
Oh my God! Really
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Wow.
and if I'm also remembering this right, we actually have more than one type of
Yeah.
Puso.
yeah, because like the puso you see now, I believe that's the binaki.
I don't know.
Like
Yeah.
ang
Murag
tawag ana,
binaki.
yeah, like as in a frog.
Okay.
Like I believe there was so much more. Like
Napod
I'm trying to
katong
find.
mga
So are you
coated
gonna be
rice
teaching
wine.
that the different kinds of puso?
Well, just how to make ra.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the binaki version.
Yeah, just the
Because we're not gonna be cooking.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
dili may cooking. That's the only art we forgot to learn.
So ang kanang puso ba? I'm curious. It is kind of very Cebuano, right? Like
Yeah.
why puso sa Manila? Is that true?
Yeah, wala.
Huh? So why do you think ang diri man na ni kuan ni Prevail ang puso? Why do you think Sibura?
Travel
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah, but there were like nam say mga mangingisda sa Visayas ug sa
No.
sa Luzon, right? Like nganong diri naman sa Cebu ni sprout ng puso.
Okay, can I talk about
Yeah,
that?
go
Yeah.
Because
This is very interesting. Yeah.
What's the name? In the southern Luzon, specifically southern Tagalog
Okay.
area, they have other methods of like actually storing food.
Hmm.
I forgot what Gat Abon called it, but they have like this like long bamboo thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
also a shield, but at the same time, they hollow out the certain part of it,
Mm.
and that's where they put their baon basically. So
Mura na
Because-
Tupperware nila tong una.
yeah,
Okay.
katong-
Tupperware.
yeah, I forgot ang name pero unsa ni
Pinga.
pinga. It's called the pinga,
Mm.
and it doubles as a shield kay gi-carve out a handle
So
for
shield
it.
pag yun napag pagkaon sa sulod.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can send you a link of
Mm.
how it's used both in like snacks and martial art later,
Mm.
sir. But
Accent fighting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it differs from place to place, but also cause like the consideration of the geography and topography of the land, like like you don't really, when you have one big butanganan mo ng rice, you don't really need like a bunch na unsa ni.
and
Wow.
and I believe that also like the puso also speaks to how busy the waterways around Cebu and
Mm.
Mindanao were, because the tides were very pabor going south and also going north. So like it's very convenient to
Mm.
like you bring a batch like this is just like conjecture, right? But like you have a big batch of puso and then your traveling companion has to go another way, so you can just
Tungaon ni tungaon.
ma-
Half it, right?
matunga.
So actually here even now, like if you go to the beach, usually like puso gina, di ba?
Yeah, mas
Di ba?
convenient naman pag puso
Di ba?
kaysa kay
It really makes sense, right? Oh.
Yeah, especially sa island hopping.
Yeah.
Like if you're on,
Mm.
the puso is like you can eat that on a boat. Like it feels right, right?
Oh,
You
no.
know?
I definitely know what I'm going to eat for lunch today. It has to involve puso.
crave na.
Maybe we can also mention pastil.
Pastillas.
Oh.
What about pastillas? Sounds like a Spanish word, right? Pastillas, right?
Well, pastil is actually different.
Okay.
I'll let Rhyme explain.
So unsa man ang pastil o
It's a
pastillas?
Maguindanaon rice dish.
Oh.
Basically, yeah.
So dili na pastillas.
Dili pod.
Kana di ba?
Rice dish na siya.
Sweets man ang
Yeah.
pastillas. So what's pastil?
Pastil is a Maguindanaon rice dish
Okay.
where you wrap it with banana leaves
Okay.
and you leave it for a while so that the rice has the banana leaf oil aromatics
Okay.
mixed with the chicken.
Oh no. Ting paniod to naman gud.
Spicy, it's great.
Okay.
Nice sudan.
Yeah, the sudan is normally deep fried na chicken shreds
Oh.
because it's actually used for. Oh man.
Used for what?
Gutom na.
It's used for traveling. as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. So yeah. Please do not forget, it's happening very soon. Again, the date and the venue and the times. Go ahead.
October 11, 2025
Okay.
in Atua Midtown, Kamugnaan sa Atua.
And of course, this is a chance for you to take advantage of all of their eclectic mix of
Free.
vendors.
Just walk in.
Yeah, you can take advantage of the lumai, the dice maker that we flew in and understand how to make puso and
Yeah, play
we
games.
play games with us. So there's the Gubat Banwa game that you can probably demonstrate to
Yeah, we will
them.
be having games. if people are also interested in playing Warhammer.
Okay.
I know, yeah.
Mm.
Ralph.
What is Warhammer, Ralph? What is that?
It's a.
Does it involve a hammer? What is
No,
that?
no. Kind of.
There's lots of hammers too.
It's another TTRPG that I think originated from the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the setting is like think of it like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi mixed with religious
It's
themes.
very baroque.
Baroque.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
it's very
baroque.
baroque.
Yeah.
Grim dark.
Yeah, just imagine Star Wars, but there's the Catholic Church and demons, something like that.
But there is religion and demons in Star Wars already.
Well, you have aliens that kind of look like your typical demons, but
Mm.
they're not actually demons. They're just aliens. In Warhammer, they're literally
It's
demons.
like it's like Star Wars if it was racist. Oh, seriously.
I was gonna go with Star Wars if it was goth, but okay.
That's also true.
It's true.
I'm curious
God
about
is racist.
since you guys talked about racism.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh no.
All right, here we
Is
go.
there like do you feel that reverse racism still exists in Cebu, in the Philippines? Like for example, especially in the tourism industry, but like for example, we favor the Europeans, or if it's a local that comes in, wa ni kwarta, whatever.
Well,
Do you think that still exists? And
I believe that's more of like I would classify that as colonial mentality.
okay,
That's
So
the
of
consequence
racism.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
colonial
it's-
mentality,
yeah.
because the white man wanted to be the best back
Mm,
then,
mm,
and now when
mm.
we put them in the standard they placed themselves in the first place,
Mm.
why are we complaining? Like, what's there to complain about?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm so angry. I'm sorry.
Gutom ra bay, gutom ra bay.
Nagpastil mo na.
Sa mukha.
but yeah, I believe like that's a consequence of I mean, right. I'm just gonna put this out there because
Okay,
we're
go
gonna
on.
go there eventually.
Yeah.
Because you talk about decolonialization,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. That's like a big
Mm.
topic,
Mm,
right?
mm.
And sure, we can devote another hour to that.
Mm.
But if I may, I believe like a lot of the process of decolonialization, like the easy part is the learning about culture, learning about connections and all of that stuff, right? The hard part is the unlearning of these things
Mm.
that were as a consequence of our colonial past.
Accepted as default.
Yeah, what we have accepted as default, like there's a lot of Filipino self-hate. There's a lot of, I mean, you put forth that corruption felt like a natural part of a Philippine identity, which that's kind of, don't you think that's a little also colonial mentality in itself? Like, like won't you trace the thought process to that of, we're so corrupt, we can't rule ourselves, we need someone else to tell us what to do. So there is that. Like I would put that out there. Like there's a lot to unlearn in that sense.
Yeah, for all of us in different degrees.
Oh, well, let's put it at that, right? Because
Yeah.
I hear a series in the making here, because there's so much to talk about, right? There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there is so much.
Guys, thank you so much. I know nga murag
Kamugnahan sa ato.
maabot na gali og puso ang atong istoryaan, pasabot na nga atong mga guests murag hangry. So manggawas ni ang mga lawom kay mga pagkalagot og kaligot-got, di ba?
Description sa pastil.
So once again, please make sure you remember the date and the venue. Ang kaning atua sa Midtown, can you describe to our listeners who have never been there? Because I had just actually newly discovered that place not too long ago. I'm familiar with the area. It used to be Eddie's Hotel, but I didn't know it was transformed into this beautiful place called Atua at Midtown. Go ahead. I know it's near Redemptorist. That's all I know.
Yeah, Eddie's is still there, but they've become a log cabin.
Yeah,
Restaurant. Yeah.
it's a restaurant now.
Yeah,
It's not that bad.
sorry,
But we
that's what they
actually
call
have
themselves.
a feature.
We have a best dress competition actually
Oh.
for all of the cosplayers
okay.
and fashionistas out there.
Okay.
The brands that we mentioned, those are the prizes that
Okay.
we'll be offering. The
Okay,
dress and
okay.
the perfume. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Before we forget.
Unsa man ang costume? What are the murag
Mechanics.
criteria? Yeah.
yeah. So we have three genres or ano for it.
Okay.
Categories. I guess.
Categories.
Yeah.
Thank you. Most creative. best in local weaves or textiles.
Okay.
And most representative of the Mahamandalas, or the different lands in Gubat Banwa.
Okay, it's gonna be Gubat Banwa themed ang costume achuchu. So if you guys, wanna dress up in Gubat Banwa themed like costumes, you wanna dress up as your kadungganan, this is definitely the event to
Who created the outfits of the Gubat Banwa game?
Or
Like,
the design.
did you like consult a designer, or did you
That
just
would
made
be
it up
us.
yourselves? What?
Yes,
That
you are
would
the designer.
that would be our team.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
that would be
We
us.
all pooled our resources, not just the clothes,
Okay.
everything else.
The material
So part of the
cultures.
game, it's not a digital game. I was thinking it was a digital game because like mopalit ka og sanina, like
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
is when other games. Maybe eventually it'll become like a online game, right?
Hopefully.
I mean,
That's
the
the
goal.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're very ambitious
Mm.
about Gubat Banwa. We
Mm.
want it to be like a big. I don't like using. I always say this. I don't like using the word IP,
Mm.
but we want it to be that. We
Mm.
want it to be not just a TTRPG. We
Mm.
want it to be all these other things
Mm.
because we believe that it has potential
Mm.
to be that.
It's an entire universe in the making.
Whoa.
We
There will be guides for it if you want to participate in the what do you call it, the dressing up as like a kadungganan or as like a character in the Sword Isles. Hang on later because there'll be a guide, because I know it can be a little hard if you're not familiar with
Yeah.
Yeah,
how
but-
stuff looks like.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we'll release a poster explaining all the
Later.
different Mahamandalas, because all of the 5 of them.
Mahamandala sounds like
Yes.
the Mandalorian.
Ah, well,
Colonial mentality
Yeah.
rearing its ugly head again, right?
that's another rabbit hole we can go down. So,
Okay.
the 5 Mahamandalas are actually based on the diverse ethno-linguistic groups of the Philippines.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So every single aspect of Gubat Banwa is deeply researched and steeped in Philippine culture and Southeast Asian culture at large.
Deeply researched by
Yes.
these individuals here, not just here, but also from all over the country, right?
Yes.
Yep.
We're working together all in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Yes.
This is just like the tip of the iceberg of the guys from Gubat
Yes.
Banwa. And are we gonna meet the others during the event?
Man, if if we get the replies from the right people, get
Who wants to
the
sponsor?
Yeah.
I am making a gesture that denotes financial
Yeah.
gain.
We're not begging. We're just asking.
Yeah.
It would be great though if you could
Yeah.
get us all together.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
We actually haven't met. Like
how do
all of us haven't.
how do they do that?
Hmm?
How does one able to, let's just say, donate or send you some
Hit up our Facebook page if you're interested
Okay.
in like sponsoring. You can just message the Facebook page and then we can talk.
Gubat Banwa,
Kamugnaan sa Atua. We
Oy.
have a Facebook page as well.
kamugnaan sa atua.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our friends from Balay Kasamtangan and Gubat Banwa live in the studios of 105.1 TMC. Be sure to join our conversation, although we're probably going to go off the air now or offline now. But still, you can join our conversation. Maybe if you want to post some questions in the middle of our conversation, just post it, right? On
Tama lang
YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok as well. But the TikTok
yun. Yeah,
account...
there's no. I don't think there's a replay. So
Okay,
TikTok, so
just
Facebook
just
and
Facebook
YouTube.
and YouTube. Okay, thank you so much, you guys.